It started with an act of murder. The Skrull War left the global situation unstable. Dr. Doom used that to make a power move. He tricked T'Challa into a covert meeting and attacked him. T'Challa's Dora Milaje bodyguards died protecting him. It was a miracle that T'Challa survived. His life was saved through science, magic, and the unconquerable love of his wife, Queen Aurora. But at a price. T'Challa's injuries were too dreadful. Even with the best medical attention on Earth, T'Challa might never again be able to wear the mantle of Black Panther. For good or for ill, that responsibility fell on Shuri. It is a duty she does not take lightly. Doom's plan was far more than a simple attack. He infected most of the royal family and many top aides with nanites, microscopic devices that relayed everything the infected heard or said. T'Challa and Shuri were among the few uninfected, unable to enlist the aid of his wife or his own military. T'Challa, a man of science, turned to magic to counter Doom's sorcery. Alchemy and ancient magics gave him enhanced strength and a resistance to magical attacks. An attack by Doom was inevitable. T'Challa needed muscle, and he turned to the Dora Milaje, a cult of warrior women dedicated to protecting the royal family. Fighting Mistress Anika devised a new form and combat that blended science and sorcery with the most vicious of fighting secrets. As months passed, T'Challa tried everything he could to defeat the nanite infection. Each time, he failed. At any moment, Doom could activate the nanite self-destruct option, killing Storm, the royal family, and everyone he loved. He was trapped. Doom played the whole thing like a chess master, subtly calculating each move. Instead of openly attacking Wakanda, he covertly funded the Distori, a dissident group dedicated to civil unrest. Doom's ally in this was the Broker, aka Walter Declan, former CEO of Damage Control, whose mutant growth hormones helped bring about the Civil War. Declan laid a trail of disinformation that sent Shuri, the new Black Panther, chasing her own tail. While trying to uncover the truth, Shuri was tricked into attacking Namor, a painful mistake on her part. Luckily, T'Challa has some allies in this war. Together, they attacked the Broker, but even that battle was part of Doom's chess game, keeping everyone off balance and distracted. At Doom's command, the Distori rose and overthrew Wakanda in a well-coordinated coup, and put Storm on trial for her life, while everyone scrambled to make a counter move. Doom acted to accomplish his true endgame, to acquire the stockpiles of refined vibranium under the royal palace by any means necessary. Desperate now, T'Challa and Shuri went to Utopia to plead their case to Cyclops. With the X-Men, they could take back Wakanda. Cyclops was reluctant to commit his people. Only 3 answered the call. The Dora Milaje squared off against the combined might of the Wakandan military. Anika led 500 warriors into battle against 70,000 Wakandan troops, while at the same time the X-Man Nightcrawler teleported T'Challa and Shuri into the palace, right into the throne room. And they took back what was theirs. With the leaders of the Distorti gone, the insurrection lost its momentum. Loyal Wakandans rose up against the Distorti. The whole battle could have been wholesale slaughter. But despite Doom's worst intentions, Wakanda did not drown in the blood of its people. T'Challa fought his way through hundreds of Distorti agents and Doombots to reach the Vibranium Vault. But Doom, as impossible as it seems, stole every last ounce of Vibranium. So, with the nanite infection still there and no recourse left, Shuri ordered the Air Force to carpet bomb the capital with EMPs, effectively blasting Wakanda back to the Dark Ages. And now, Shuri and T'Challa turn to Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four again. Doom's oldest enemies and T'Challa's oldest friends. Shuri and T'Challa can't beat Doom alone. Not this time. But together, they might just have a chance. He stole all of the Vibranium? Reed asks. Honestly, he's impressed. T'Challa informs the four that Doom stole 10,000 tons worth of metal, but they still don't know how. The last lock, the Purity Arc, was a kind of psycho-spiritual polygraph. It forces a person to reveal his true self. Any trace of guile, any hint of duplicity, or evil intent triggers a ring of disintegrators. How could Doom, possibly the most corrupt person on the planet, pass that test? T'Challa cannot begin to guess. Back at the Vibranium Vault, 26 hours ago, Dr. Doom is presented with a final test on the final lock. Only through purity, unencumbered by pretense, may you pass. He unhooks his cape and cowl, and the green fabric flutters to the floor. He removes his mask and drops it to his feet. He strips down from all his armor. Then, he holds up his arms as if he were presenting himself to someone. Unguarded, naked, weaponless, I offer myself up to judgment, Doom announces. Within an instant, lightning cracks out of the vault door. It entangles Doom before teleporting him away altogether. Elsewhere, the heroes secretly meet within the caves of Bast, T'Challa's secret combat laboratory. Currently, the power is out, and the meeting is being held by candlelight. Nyx, Shuri's weapon designer and chief scientific advisor, explains the Distorti strike groups are still active in the territories. So far, there have been suicide bombings in the Mount Conda settlement and another at the police station in Paradise Forest. 14 civilians have been confirmed dead so far. However, they were able to recover the head of a Doombot from one of the sites. Ben Grimm, the Thing of the Fantastic Four, comments that capturing a Doombot isn't such a big deal. They have tons of reprogrammed Doombots back at the Baxter building, doing their laundry. Nix tells the Thing that, over the years, Wakandans have tried to master the mystical properties of vibranium. They never could. But if Doom has truly solved that mystery, then God help them all. Within the factory, hidden on Rapa Nui, Dr. Doom stands atop the block of vibranium. A number of candles are set around the perimeter. Doom reaches into his bag and casts out an unfamiliar green powder. Then, he sets down a number of occult items around a small bowl placed in front of him. Finally, he pours a neon green liquid into the bowl. Walter Delcom watches this all unfold, but he doesn't pay it any mind. "Beautiful," he comments, "but still just a big slab of metal. T'Challa is going to move heaven and earth to recover this. Now that he has his military back, we can't match him in pitched battle." Doom doesn't look up. He continues to tamper with his mystical items. "Stop fussing like an old woman. The ritual will take some time. I leave it to you to buy me that time." "Buying time is expensive. Staff, equipment, raw materials, bribes. I don't care about cost. You do your part. I'll do mine." 26 hours ago, the lightning that consumed Dr. Doom transported him to the astral plane. "What is this place?" he asks, looking around. Where he stands now appears to be a moon drifting in space. Planets and suns that once looked like distant stars are now closer than ever before. Suddenly, a giant panther stomps from over the horizon. Its bleach white fur only rivaled by its perfectly sharp ivory fangs. Its eyes glow green as it hisses. "You are nowhere. This place does not exist. You do not exist. All that exists is this moment and the question of purity. I will look into your soul, Victor Von Doom. If you lie to me, if your heart is impure, if your motivations are tainted by greed or hatred, I will know. I am Bast, Cat God of Egypt, Panther God of Wakanda. Lie to me, Doom, and I will devour you." Dr. Doom stands humbly before the Panther deity. "I know who you are," he responds, "and I know that when I stepped through the ark, my life was forfeit. But know this, I give to you what I have given to no one else. I open my mind and heart and soul to you. Bast, curious, snatches Doom up in order to examine the king even further.
Is that bravery or arrogance that puts such steel in your voice?
Neither, Doom says flatly. It is faith. I know who and what I am. Look into my soul, Cat God. Look and see the truth that is Doom. Within the caves of Bast, one of T'Challa's guards enters the room to tell the king that a heavily armored Distorti hit team has broken into the palace and taken members of the press hostage. Storm volunteers to deal with the Distorti and orders T'Challa to find the vibranium. Sue Storm tells Reed that she is going with Ororo. Storm isn't going to need her help, but Sue just wants to watch. Reed chuckles and tells T'Challa, "For so many years, I always considered Doom to be my personal nemesis. Ego, I suppose." T'Challa admits he hasn't fought Doom as long as Reed, or as many times, but in wars of this kind, it's not the number of battles, but the degree of harm by which one measures their enemies. Doom is the enemy of everyone on Earth. Storm and the Invisible Woman arrive in the palace to block off the press from the incoming wave of Distorti forces. The Invisible Woman begins to conjure a number of barriers. She tells Storm to lay down some cover fire while she throws a force field around the civilians. But Storm refuses. Storm's eyes glow bright, and the wind around her ankles begins to spiral. She tells the Invisible Woman that she's got this. At that moment, 3 massive bolts of lightning crack out of the sky. They center in on the royal palace and shoot through the windows, shattering the glass and striking down the Distorti forces. The Distorti curse Storm, calling her a witch, as they burn by the touch of nature. On the astral plane, Bast interrogates Dr. Doom. Her gaze glows the color jade, and her will pierces through the wizard, bringing him to his knees.
Can you coin the numberless dead who have perished for your dreams? Can you tally the harm you have done to those you hate and those you love? You are a monster, Doom. And yet, knowing that all of your crimes would be laid before me, you entered the Ark of Purity.
Doom tells Bast, "My history is no different than Wakanda's Cat God. I know what your people have done to survive. You speak of damage, of death. What are they to kings and gods? They are the ephemeral byproducts of destiny." In the lab, T'Challa and Mr. Fantastic are at work creating a device that will key in on the vibranium's unique signature, a vibranium tracker. Still, tracking the vibranium is only half the battle. Reed knows Doom isn't going to take it back to Latveria. With that, and turning vibranium into a weapon of mass destruction, Doom will be facing a coalition of every superpower on the planet. So, it's up to the two of them to stop him. On the astral plane, Doom shows Bast everything he sees wrong with the world. My methods are a means to an end, no different than pruning weeds in order to let an orchid flourish. Those who stand in the way of my vision oppose me because they fear me. But more than that, they fear what I represent. Change. Do you know why I despise Richards and T'Challa? Because never once have they reined in their own self-righteous arrogance long enough to try and see what I see. Never once have they asked me why. Do you want to know? Love. Measure my crimes against what mankind has done to itself, and I am a saint. Homo sapiens are a predator species. It's what brought us down from the trees, and it's what will ultimately reduce us to a historical footnote in cosmic history. I am more than a scientist, more than the power-hungry despot that Richards and the others paint me as. I am a sorcerer. I have looked into the future. I have seen how one violent action after another spins the world towards a future where all that remains of Earth is a burned out cinder. Every time I have looked into the future, that is what I have seen. Every time but one. In one possible future, mankind becomes united. Cures for all diseases are found. Global conflict ends. Hunger is abolished. Education is universal and no one goes without. In that world, there are laws. To break even the slightest of these is to suffer immediate and terminal punishment. After a while, no one would dare lay hands upon the innocent, or commit a crime of hate, or steal bread from the table of another. 10,000 futures have I looked at, 100,000, and in only one does mankind finally unite and flourish and survive. Only one. DOOMWAR. There are 5 kinds of vibranium on Earth. Some in the Antarctic, some in the Savage Land, and other smaller amounts. Each is substantially different in composition and properties to the Wakandan vibranium. The vibranium tracker T'Challa and Mr. Fantastic made will only target refined vibranium from Wakanda. Later, within the caves of Bast, the heroes realize Dr. Doom hasn't taken the metal to Latveria. He spread it around the world. So far, they've identified 16 locations, most of which can be traced back to one man. The broker. The broker has been managing Doom's global network, the infrastructure that allows Doom to keep going. Retrieving the vibranium will give them a chance to cripple Doom's network and destroy his support system. They must hit now, and hit hard, so Doom can't use the vibranium before they can take it back. The largest concentration of vibranium is currently on Easter Island. That's their first target. A few hours later, a small fleet of 6 Wakandan Quinjets sets out for Rapa Nui. Even at their outrageous speeds, Mach 6, they are still easily tracked by the equipment the broker and his assistant, Mrs. Tickle, are provided.
Almost 3 minutes sooner than the good doctor predicted.
Mrs. Tickle cheers. The broker commends the heroes as well.
I'm very nearly impressed. It's nice when the victims are punctual. Shows good manners.
You know, I've always wanted to say this. I mean, really, it's so rare you get to use one of the truly classic lines.
Just say it, for God's sakes.
Very well. Release the hounds.
At that moment, a metal latch opens and tigers, fully coated with vibranium armor and equipped with vibranium wings, soar into the air. The tigers have turrets mounted on their backs, and the bullets from them pierce holes into the Quinjets. The Human Torch, Black Panther, and Anika leap out of the planes to ward off the beasts. But even a fire blast with half the heat of a supernova doesn't slow them down. The beasts rip and tear at the Quinjets, causing mass destruction in midair. On the astral plane, Bast asks Doom of his true endgame. Dr. Doom would slaughter millions to save billions. He would rewrite history, wreck nations, let himself be called a tyrant and a murderer, all to satisfy his dream of one world under him. And yet, he believes that this is the only path to salvation for all mankind. He believes that with his whole heart, everything that he has ever done, his plots and plans and twisted excesses, all serve this one goal. Bast, the Panther God, tells Doom,
I, too, have looked into a million pathways of the future. I, too, have seen the one that leads to a world without evil, without hurt, without want. And though my own soul cries out in denial, I must act according to the truth. Though your methods are abhorrent and vile, your intent is pure. You have passed the test. The vibranium is yours to take. Do with it as you will.